Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's morning here. It's sort of a gloomy morning on the West Coast. Hope you folks in Florida, in particular, are seeing some sunshine. We're getting ready to go to Florida, so we got our boot camp coming up, and I'm in my Marlins gear here. That's because if you're going to be there, if you're going to be at the boot camp, if you're not going to be at the boot camp, whatever, we're going to the Marlins game on I think they're playing Tampa on the 4th. So on June 4th, we're going to go see the Marlins at their stadium. I forget the name of the stadium in Miami, and we will be in section 11, right down by the field. So if you want to join us, we will be there. Join us, and let's have some fun watching some baseball. Love watching some baseball. But this morning, now let's get on to the trading stuff. That was our public service announcement. This morning, we've been looking at a market that has been, pretty responsive to what's been going on in terms of the inflation numbers and the Fed speak. And of course, we've had all this just sort of wild and woolly stuff going on with, the roaring kitties back. So we've got roaring kitties, we've got Fed speak, and we had inflation numbers. Some people would have expected a little bit of a bigger move in the market this morning. I wasn't really thinking it was going to happen. We did have some major swings, of course, in the meme stocks, in GameStop and AMC and all that stuff. A bunch of trading halts this morning. We managed to navigate around that stuff and actually start working with them once they were available for some profitable trades. So let's start by looking at our QQQs, talk about what we were doing this morning on those triple Qs and what I'm looking at for the afternoon, and then get into the Mag 7s and the memes. Here are the charts. So, this morning, I mean, the inflation data wasn't, people were making sort of a big thing out of it, and Powell certainly made a point of reiterating that inflation was not coming in as quickly as expected, and that we were going to see rates stay where they are. And then, once the market digested that, here's that 1, 2, 3 swing that we get. I keep telling you guys, every time that we get Fed speak, keep an eye on the market and look for, these very predictable swing moves that we get on the heels of any kind of Fed testimony, Fed announcement. I mean, if it was a Fed announcement, it would really go pretty wild, right? Sometimes it's even hard to see where the swings are because it's swinging so much. But in this case, what we're looking at is, a market that's sort of struggling to get into the box, struggling to get into a value zone. I thought that the top of this morning range was probably going to represent a good trading range to get into from, that 443, 57 level up to 3 spot, where are we here? 3 spot 89. So that was it's actually a little too tight, right? It's only about 30 cents. I think that if we manage to get back down to the central pivot, if we can get back down into that red line on my chart, that is 442.94. That's going to represent a good place to start looking for an inflection. As a matter of fact, I've got an order out on the NQ that does just that, and also looks for an inflection a little bit lower down at 42.68. So if we get down below the pivot into this morning's swing there, we had a pretty solid inflection here and a move higher. Then I've got stuff sitting right there, and I've also got stuff sitting right at the pivot line. Other than that, we're going to wait for it to settle in, see if we can get these lines right here, right, to be a little bit more parallel and not so extreme. So right now there's a lot of volatility. So those volatility bands are indicating that 2 standard deviations, the volatility is still, it's moving around, let's just say, right? So that's going to make for some problematic trading on those. So for right now, I think I'm going to just focus on stocks as opposed to futures and ETFs. So the QQQs will definitely be on my radar the rest of the session, but whether or not we get trades off in them, that's another question altogether. Now, if they do settle in, we know what to do. If they don't settle in, then there's still plenty to do, because we're seeing lots and lots of good price action on our Mag 7 stocks. I'm going to say, I'm going to add Netflix to that, I think, because I pretty much have Netflix on here every day. So it's really Magnificent 8 or whatever. We'll come up with our own name for it. But, first let's look at GameStop. This was what everybody wanted to talk about today, of course. This big move on the open, pretty much doubled in price overnight. That's all due to a short squeeze. So the meme guys are back. The roaring kitty, or whatever forces may be at work here, are pushing this thing and really dragging it around. So this morning, what we had all in here, all these gaps that you see on the way down, those are all trading halts. And trading is halted when trading becomes too volatile. And anytime that you see the code M on a trading halt indication, it's not a pause. There's also a trading pause, but there is a trading halt in this case. And I am not a fan at all of being in any position ever when I think there's going to be a halt. And these halts happened because of extreme volatility. So these are volatility based. The exchange puts in a circuit breaker and says no more. And what's going on there is there's extreme volume right around the opening bell. I mean, you're doing, here in the first 15 minutes of trading, this thing did 5, 8, 10, 11, probably 12 million shares. That's a lot of shares right out of the gate. It was a very fast market. So this morning, when I was talking to you guys, when we were looking at these things, I said, it's a fast market in GameStop. Let's wait for it to settle in. And that's exactly what it did. So once we started seeing threshold levels, we knew that this high seemed to be an inflection point, and we knew that these lows right here, and more significantly these lows down here, were providing an inflection. All that inflection tells us is it's likely that we're going to pause there and see a bump back up into the range again. We called one of these in the trading room in our war room just a little while ago, and it was on this move down below the line and then this move back up through 5010. We were looking at all of this activity out here and looking for the inflection and the move from 5010 up to 5245. We got it. That was great. And then, of course, we were also looking at NVIDIA. So there hasn't been a whole lot going on today. But, you just have to wait for these things to set up, wait for them to get, it's all about patience. We're going to talk extensively about the Magnificent 7 trades and the way these things are set up at the boot camp. I would appreciate it if, everybody who's going to the boot camp has that course. All the alumni who are coming virtually, you guys have that course as well. And, please watch it ahead of time. It's just, a few hours of your time, and you can see sort of how I approach these different stocks based on their personalities. But we're going to spend quite a bit of time at the boot camp talking about how to get in and out of these positions and square them up and make sure that we're doing things at the best possible time, as opposed to just getting in because we think we see momentum. So that being said, we had this area right here that really represented what we thought was going to be a likely inflection point. And that likely inflection also wrapped up with a bunch of this volume by price data over here. So if you're looking at that cluster analysis, it has changed a little bit over the past hour or so, but for the most part, we see that these clusters are sort of stacked up like this. And what this is telling us is where the important price action is and where the important inflections are likely to be. And in this case, right, we see that this line 906.51 up to 909.13. When we did that trade in the war room, I told you, either take low shares and get out of a portion of the position sort of right here on the way back up again. Or if you're taking light shares, if I'm taking light shares, whoever's taking light shares, I'm not ever telling you what to do, of course. If somebody is taking light shares of any NVIDIA, then you can just go and target that bigger swing up to 909.13. So that was that's the better part of $2.60 or $2.70 per share traded, depending on how you bracket the trade up. So, there we go. So if if you're looking at these over the course of the rest of the session and you see the opportunities line up with nice inflections right at the lines, you can see that we've got inflections here in, stop these pop-ups. We've got inflections in Amazon that are coming right on the threshold levels. We've got inflections now on Netflix. Netflix is right at sort of the sweet spot here, the central pivot. So we've got an opportunity here if we get a little dip for a rise back up into the range. And Tesla, same thing. Tesla, we are just waiting to see, do we firm up somewhere closer to here or perhaps down in this range? And if we do, I'm going to look for longs there. So even though the indices are kind of bottled up today and swinging in unpredictable ranges, I think that we've got at least the pretty fair opportunity here to say there's a good chance that we'll have trades in the Mag 7 stocks over the course of the session. All right, so that is it for me for today. Hopefully that didn't further confuse the issue. Hopefully you guys give a good idea about what it is that we're going to look to do going on into the rest of the day. Focus on the stock side of it for now, I would say, until the triple Qs line up. Focus on the Mag 7 stocks that are making moves that are predictable, right? So, stay away from things that are doing these, giant swings, and focus on things that are staying sort of tightly in a range and that have that range line up with, your other data, your confirming data, and I think everybody's gonna be pretty happy with the way the day goes. All right, hope you're having a great one. If you have questions, you can shoot me an email or a text. Otherwise, I will see everybody back here tomorrow. Take care.